Hello subscribers, welcome to a new subscription video, this time with 2 coffees from Guatemala, and joining me, Siv,
yeah, hi.
Bar manager at our Bernicor, not Burning Cow, but Bernicor shop.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
And today we have 2 Guatemalan coffees for you. Before we go into that, we need some coffee. You promised to talk a little bit about brewing. So maybe you'll start brewing and then we'll start talking about how you get the most out of these coffees.
Yeah, let's do it.
When you're brewing this on bar,
Yeah.
what advice would you give people?
I would turn it a little bit finer than normally for the other coffees because our coffees are quite acidic and the Vista Hermosa is a little bit more full bodied and have some like nutty, more orange flower notes that we would like to get out of this coffee. So doing it a little bit finer would help giving that body and that sweetness to it.
Yeah. So we usually do a 2-to-1 bloom ratio. So that means 2 grams of water per gram of coffee. About 30 grams of water for 16 grams for a calita. And we're going to finish with a brew of 250 grams of water.
Yeah, and then we let it bloom for like 30 seconds. That's now. Not going too fast, not going too slow, neither with movements or with the volume of water.
And also keeping the height of your pouring spout the same, so you get the same speed of the stream going into the coffee the entire duration of your pour. As you mentioned, I think Vista Hermosa is one of those coffees, and we tend to see that actually with the Guatemalans, that you need to grind quite a bit finer. You can actually have where you're tasting at your usual grind setting and thinking that it's over-extracted because you get a little bit of bitterness. And what we often see, especially once we use the refractometers to measure the strength of the brew, is that surprisingly, they're actually under-extracted. And it's because they can have this kind of like a slightly greenish bitterness to them that you'll get rid of as soon as you push the extraction a bit higher and get some more sweetness to balance out the coffee. And at a certain point, you should aim for having like lots of caramel, lots of chocolatey notes out of this coffee.
Yeah, more like biting into a dark chocolate, that like pleasant sweet dryness of a dark chocolate.
Yeah. For those who are getting the Espresso subscription, what advice would you have for them?
Also trying to see if you can get a little bit more sweetness and body and like the nuttiness out of it. For the recipe we would do, like we usually do, 19 grams of espresso, and then we do 38 grams out. And then second wise, we usually like to keep it in the like mid-late 20s, but we actually tried in the coffee shops to go a little bit higher on like 30 or 31 to really get some body. Also really nice with milk to really get the espresso going. And it was really pleasant on the tongue. Really sweet, really nutty, very soft, velvet-like when we tried it on like 30 or 31 seconds.
Yeah, so don't be afraid of pushing the extraction quite high on this. Of course, depending on your machine, you might need to go a lot faster. Like some home espresso machines can't really be pushed that high and still have a good flow. But try it out. I really like this one in like a classic 1-to-2 ratio, but slightly longer shot times as well. Get a lot of like chocolate and caramel out. Cheers! Guatemala. All right, so, and you went to visit Vista Hermosa, and just a little bit of background. Vista Hermosa is actually one of the farms that we've worked the longest with. We actually bought this coffee as we were starting our company 15 years ago, and we've been buying from them every single year since. It's Edwin Martinez and his family who own the farm. It's a fantastic coffee, and we've been visiting them every year as well, and so on the last visit you got to go.
Yeah, I got to
Tell us about that trip.
That was an amazing trip. The farm itself is located pretty away from any city. So first we came to Guatemala City, saw the office, and then we flew on a really small private plane, not private but tiny plane, to Huehue.
But you're lucky, because I got to drive that route a couple of times, and that is literally the most car sick I've ever been in my life. I usually don't get car sick, but
also
the 2
bumpy.
times I've been on that road, I get super car sick because they drive fast and it's up and down and corners all the time.
And it's 8 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit less bumpy roads. We flew and had Guatemala and Huehue underneath us in like clear blue sky. And the thing is, they're actually building new roads. Okay. So for half of the trip, it was not bumpy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So nobody got car sick. We sat on the back of this car and drove. in sunny weather and just saw the whole Guatemala.
Wow.
So,
And then you arrived at the farm. What struck you about going to a coffee farm like that?
well, first of all, it's my first coffee farm,
Oh,
so
yeah.
everything struck me. It was located so not isolated. There's a lot of like small community around it, but on this mountainside with the whole region in front of you.
Yeah.
So just the view was amazing.
Well, it is called Vista Hermosa,
Hermosa.
which means
Yeah.
the beautiful view. So yeah.
The name is correct.
Yeah.
The name is very correct. And then actually what struck me the first was that the variety garden was actually right next to the house.
Wow,
I
yeah.
haven't put that into my mind.
And this
before.
variety garden is a new project that Edwin started up some years ago, where he wanted to experiment with a lot of different single varieties and see how they grew in his soil and his climate. And it's a really interesting project. And last year we were the first ones to showcase this broad range of single varieties from the same farm, same height, same soil, same processing method, and same roast degree as well. So you had a chance to taste just these 10 different single varieties that we selected. And that is actually coming out again very soon. So if you're interested in that, you should keep an eye out on our website and our Instagram for news on that. In our other cup, we brewed the other coffee that you're getting. And this is a program that Edwin is actually responsible for, where they're helping farmers from around this region to get access to market. Yeah. Did he tell you a lot about that, or?
We talked about that as well. We had some really long talks on the terrace. He is really concerned about the community and wanna help the community keep producing coffee and keep improving quality and keeping them in business. So one of the things he's doing is these, I like to say town meetings, but these meeting with all the farmers, all the small farmers. At the terrace, you can always see this long table talking about the issues they're having, giving out knowledge and helping them improve the quality.
Yeah, because Edwin was actually, I think, the first farmer in all of Guatemala to get a farmer exporter license. So that meant that he as a farmer were able to export the coffee himself directly to us. And that was a game changer in the way that coffee's been traded in a country where there can be a lot of middlemen, and especially these that they call the coyotes, which are these middlemen who buy cherries at a very low price from farmers who don't have any other access to market, and farmers get completely ripped off. So Edwin was kind of a leader, a pioneer, in exporting your own coffee. And after a while, his neighbors were also asking him, like, how can we do this? Like, we see you have this collaboration with a roastery across the world in Denmark, and Edwin, as you mentioned, has always been driven by the community part of it. So he wanted to just start helping out his neighbors, and he's actually since then, over the years, built a whole company around that called Onyx, not to be confused with Onyx Coffee Lab.
Nope.
That's a different company, and Edwin was first, but they're good friends. There's no competition about the name, but in Onyx, he really just wanted to bring these coffees out to different roasters and say, well, we are already buying all of Edwin's coffee. Yeah. So when other roasters are visiting him, he's like, well, I'm all out of coffee, but my neighbor here has some really delicious coffee. Why don't you go visit him or her? And this is a good example of it. This is a coffee called Mendez, and it's from 3 sisters who live very close to Edwin. So it's grown at like a similar altitude, similar kind of climate, and it's these 3 sisters, and they're growing mostly Caturra and Bourbon varieties. It's kind of like a mix of 3 small nanolots, because each of the sisters actually have their own fields, but it's so little that they're actually bulking it together. Yeah. And I also know their 2 brothers are actually also coffee producers in that region. And Edwin actually knew the brothers first, but then they were talking at one of these long table meetings about like, well, all your coffee is sold. Do you know anyone else? And he's like, actually, our sisters produce coffee, and it's actually better than ours. So that's the one we're showcasing here, Mendez. And what do you think taste-wise? It's quite a different profile.
Yeah, I think it has maybe some of the same as altitude and variety. We are talking a little bit about the same. There is still some nuttiness. I think it's a bit, fresher. Yeah. A little bit, maybe a little bit more like orange flower and a little bit more fruit.
Yeah, but I'm also getting like some nougat, some like really sweet caramelly, toffee like tones in it. Of course, the one we're drinking right now was literally roasted like I think an hour ago or something. So it's like way too fresh, but you still get a sense that it's more. For me, it's more full-bodied as well than the Vista Hermosa. But two fun coffees from same region, but two very different farms. Even though they're both washed, processed, you can definitely tell that there's differences both in what was created on the soil, but probably also in the processing method. We hope that you'll enjoy these two coffees, either as filter or espresso or however you're brewing it. Thank you for joining me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
You're always welcome back. And thank you for watching and see you next time.